I made my first short documentary with a camera you can buy now for $600. I did this all by myself, no help at all. So I'm going to share with you the editing, the lighting, the color grading, the gear I use, and how I was able to find an interesting story for my film. Hello, if you're into this topic, I am Cabral Creates, and this channel is all about the creative process and inspiration, so feel free to join us. First things first, I needed to find a story, so I went on Instagram and I researched for New York City local artists because I live in New York City. So I was able to find about 10 local artists that I wanted to work with, but only one of them replied back. And to be honest with you, I thought a lot more of them will reply yes to the deal I gave them, which was, I will make you a free short documentary, and in return, I will get experience and I will add it to my portfolio. But a lot of them were either not interested or not ready for that kind of projects, even though it was for free. But at the end of the day, it all worked out because the person that said yes to it was the person that I wanted to work with the most. His name is Christopher Pin, and he's an artist that makes these really cute replicas of sneakers. And he does it handmade, so it was a really good opportunity for me to test my skills, learn from the experience, and add one to my portfolio. So I told him, hey, I want to make you some questions. I wanted to learn a little bit of his backstory because I didn't want to film him doing his thing and just saying, I like to do what I do and this was the beginning of my career and blah 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 blah. I needed to find a struggle and challenges that he had to overcome in order to become an artist. And to my surprise, he shared a lot of really deep stuff that I don't want to spoil in this video. So I'm going to link the short documentary in the description so that you check it out either now or after watching this video. So once I learned more about him and the struggles that he went through as an artist and the challenges that he had to overcome in order to become an artist, I was ready to get to the shoot. Now the lighting, this is a really interesting part of it. So for the interview, I put the lighting on a 45-degree angle so that I can get that triangle on the cheek that everybody looks for, the Rembrandt lighting style or whatever it's called. I only use one light for this one, and he had a practical in the back that, to be quite honest with you, I left it there because it was warm and I thought it added a little bit to the look. And then for the B-roll, I used the same lighting setup, and always I put my camera on the shadow side and then the light on the opposite direction of the camera so that you can have a lot more depth. Let's start with the lighting because we were talking about lighting before. And the lighting setup was very simple. I needed a lighting setup that is flexible and powerful. So I chose the Godox SL150 and a C-stand that can go to 11 feet tall. It doesn't matter what kind of C-stand, to be honest with you. And then the main event for this lighting is the China bowl that I'm using. They call it China bowl. They also call it lantern diffuser. So I chose the lantern diffuser because I was already tired of the parabolic box that everybody uses in YouTube. So I went on Pinterest and I looked for behind the scenes on lighting. And I noticed that a lot of people were using the lantern diffuser instead of the parabolic softbox. To be honest with you, on set, I never saw a parabolic softbox. It must be for a reason. So I'm like, let me try it out. And the softbox that I use is about this big, and the parabolic softbox that I have, I don't even want to pull it from the basement. It's about this big. And to be quite honest with you, there's no way I could have set that up in the apartment that I used to shoot this interview. And even in this apartment, it's quite big for what you can get in New York City. But this one is so flexible because the way I can set up the C-stand, I can put it above my head, no problems. And I am able to do things I couldn't do with the parabolic softbox. Now, this is very important, audio. So when I was creating my list, I had my whole list of the gear I needed for this shoot so that I can go over it before I went to the place to shoot. And when I was halfway there checking my checklist, I thought I have everything. So I left, I got to the place. When I was setting everything up, I noticed that I forgot my NTG2 shotgun mic. So I'm like, I'm totally screwed. And then I thought, I got the Zoom recorder. I can actually set it up on a boom arm and just have it up there pointing down the subject. And I was lucky that I had this item from Small Rig that you can actually attach to your Zoom microphone or to a camera, and you can attach it everywhere. And I used it to hook it to the boom pole, and that saved my freaking ass. So I'm grateful for that. Now for the moment you were probably waiting for, which is the camera. The camera that I use is the GH5, and you can buy this camera right now used for $600. And a lot of you wonder, why am I using a camera like the GH5, which is about 6-7 year old or something like that. It came out in 2017. To be quite honest with you, it is a very powerful camera, and I haven't fallen into the let's get a new gear kind of hype that you see out there. And I will get a new camera whenever that I feel I need another camera. This camera is very powerful. As you can see, you can create really beautiful footage with it, and I am very satisfied with it. And it has a lot of limitations. Don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say it's like a perfect camera. There's no such a thing anyway. But I learned how to go around those limitations, and I made it work. One of those limitations is the autofocus, which honestly sucks. But when you're shooting a documentary, you don't really need that much autofocus unless you're shooting with a really fast lens and you need to track that person's eyes and they move a lot back and forth and things like that. That's when you really need autofocus. I got lucky that the guy didn't move that much. But other than that, it's a really great camera. And I don't know how the autofocus is doing now. Maybe I'm not even in focus, and this was a waste of time. But I'm using the autofocus right now, and I have been using it for all this time. Editing was the hardest part of making this short documentary.
Michael Jordan had the biggest impression on me.
When you don't have any help, it is really difficult. And the more you sit and stare at your edit, the longer it's going to take. I was using DaVinci Resolve, and there is a feature I really like, and the feature allows you to transcribe your footage so that instead of going through the whole footage and listening to the person speaking in the interview, you can read whatever they said. And that is a game changer feature. And I was waiting for this feature, and it came exactly at the right time for me to finish this documentary. So that was the hardest part of the edit, for me to sit and read everything that he said and separate everything in clips and then add names to everything so that I know what to look for and I can find whatever he said quickly. It was really difficult. It took me like about an hour, to be honest with you. So once I got that done, the whole edit went by smoothly. Now I have the ability to search for everything that I think was interesting, and I can just drag and drop it into the edit, and I was able to build the rough cut from that very easily. So I think that was the most helpful tip for all of you when it comes about the editing. The other thing I would say about the editing is that the devil is in the details. So there are a lot of details in this edit that are subtle, but they are there, and they are there to enhance the story. I didn't want to add anything that was too crazy so that you take your focus out of the story. So everything that I added in the editing was to enhance the story. So this edit right here, I thought of before I even shot this interview. I really wanted to have him shooting in a basketball court so that I can do like a match cut with Jordan, between Jordan and him. The color grading was very simple because I used the Enhancer Pro. I already knew that I wanted to get like a retro look, kind of like a film look. So I used the Enhancer Pro and the process was very easy. If you want me to show you the process of color grading with the Enhancer Pro, let me know in the comments and I will do so. Everything I added in the Enhancer was the bloom, the halation effect, and the film conversion that I did. And the other most important thing that I do in the color grading process, instead of adding mid-tone detail, I actually take away mid-tone detail. So I took away about -21 on the mid-tone detail so that the footage looks a lot softer because I was aiming for a really soft and creamy filmic look.